Alright, so we went over whipping the rope at the end of the rope. Now we're going to go over whipping the rope when we're either cutting or repairing. And we'll say for this little scenario here that you got a 100-foot length of rope, but you want to break it down into 50-foot increments. So we're going to imagine that this little 6-inch piece for this demonstration is another 50 feet, and this is a 50 feet, and this is the middle where we want to cut it. And what I meant by this being a neat procedure of doing this is because if you whip it ahead of time and then cut it, it's a lot cleaner and neater than cutting your rope and then trying to sit there and put a whipping on it, because you're sitting here whipping a nice, clean, put together piece of rope as compared to trying to whip the end of a rope that's already fraying. So when I whipped this, I whipped it in the same exact manner as I did when we whipped the end of the rope. The only exception is I didn't have to worry about extending a ½ an inch over an end because there's no end of a rope. Alright, now say I want to cut here. This is exactly where I want to cut. The one thing I did have to keep in remember though was that when I put my two whippings together, I had to keep them at least an inch or more apart. Why? Because remember when we did the end of the rope, you had to leave at least a ½ an inch extending past the whipping. So the same manner here, we need to leave a ½ an inch extending, so you want to make sure your whippings are at least an inch or more apart from each other. So that way when you do cut it in the middle, you have your two ends of the rope, and each of them have at least a ½ an inch extending past the whipping. Now let's talk about repairing a rope, and I kind of frayed this in the middle here to show that this is damaged. You know, obviously if this rope is damaged, and it definitely wouldn't be safe for doing anything supporting a lot of heavy weight or even climbing. Let's say this is a rappelling rope and you got it frayed in the middle, or a mountain climbing rope and you got it frayed. That rope is no longer serviceable and dangerous to use, but if you know how to whip properly and you do this, you can return that rope to its serviceability. Because now I got this frayed piece here, so what I'm going to do is, alright, cool, I got a rip in my rope, I can repair it. I'm going to put a whipping here and a whipping here, making sure that where I cut, I have at least a ½ an inch. So I went through and did it the same exact manner, making my bite, wrapping it around, making sure I'm wrapping the direction that the rope is braided, putting the end of the rope through that bite, pulling it tight, snipping off the ends. Boom. Now I got about almost 2 inches of space in between the two whippings, and my cut is direct. I centered my cut directly in between the two whippings. So I'm assured that when I cut this, I know that I'll have at least a ½ an inch extending, and then all I have to do is cut my rope, and now I have two ends of my rope neatly whipped. And like I said, if this was a 100-foot section, I can easily and more quickly, bad English, put those whippings on the rope before I cut it, rather than sitting there now and trying to work with frayed ends. And now it's a lot neater, and I cut it, and now I can take it and trim my rope down a little bit more till it is a ½ an inch. Now I have effectively and neatly either cut my rope in half or repaired the broken piece, being that, I just decided, okay, cool, the rope was frayed, but I still had, 40 feet on each end. I could still use those two ropes. So instead of just getting rid of the rope or letting it break, I went ahead and whipped the two ends, or whipped the two sides of the damaged part, and cut down the middle. So that's how you whip a rope. That's how you should properly cut a rope if you're going to cut it down into sections, and how you would cut out a bad spot in the rope. Even if you just want to discard this end, if you were discarding this end, like say the last 5 feet of the rope was damaged, you no longer wanted to use that for climbing purposes or whatever, you could just whip one side of the damaged spot and then discard the rope. But if you want to keep both ends, like I said, it's a lot neater and easier just to whip on either side of that damaged portion and then cut down the middle. So, I'm Sergeant Speakman. I hope you enjoyed this video on whipping rope and cutting rope in half. I hope you learned something from it. Get out and practice it. All these skills in this knot tying section, or rope working section, they're all perishable skills, which means we can look at it once and learn it once. If we don't get out there and practice it, we will forget it. I'm at fault for that a lot too. There's so many knots I've tied 1,000 times, But if I try to tie them right now, I probably fail at it because I'm not practicing all the time. And that's one of the reasons why I am doing this video series, is to get myself back into practice and keep myself in practice. And I'm also putting them up on YouTube and the pictures up on Facebook, so that way others, you, my viewers and my subscribers, can also go back and restudy and relearn continuously how to do these knots and how to do these rope work. So I hope you learned from it, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you keep watching. So I'm speaking with Earth Walker Primitives. Thank you.